Let me tell you about the one shift that I made that actually enabled me to become profitable, because right now I was just out for a walk in the mountains, and it's a beautiful place, and I come for a walk up here to clear my mind, and I took my camera just in case I got inspiration, and something's just hit me and I wanted to tell you about it. And it's a very important thing that actually enabled me to become profitable in the market. So sit down and listen. This video is going to be completely raw. Let's just have a conversation, because I wasn't always such a profitable trader. I wasn't always in such a good financial position. In fact, if you looked at me maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago, let's say, you wouldn't even recognize me. You genuinely wouldn't. You know, I was overweight, I was depressed, I was unconfident, you know, I literally couldn't walk into a room without being nervous. And now everything's sort of changed, and there's one shift that I made that allowed me to do that. But this shift also translated directly into my trading, which is why I'm going to tell you about it right now. And the shift simply is personal accountability. Now, I started taking accountability for everything, but let's just not even talk about what happened. Let's talk about the situation I was in first. So I just told you about my life. I told you about what was going on in my situation. I was in school, in uni. I was also working a full-time job, and I was able to put on this fake confident facade of, you know, cheeky little boy, the one who was always good at everything. But deep down in reality, I actually was always really insecure, and I picked up trading as something to escape that. I picked up trading as something to be able to escape my life. I wanted to achieve freedom, I wanted money, I wanted the nice things, but I also wanted to be that guy. And the one thing I really realized very early on with trading specifically is everyone makes excuses, including myself. I was so happy to go, fuck, my broker did this, I didn't execute properly on the trade, or maybe I got slipped, or I got spreaded, or the market took my TP, or my stop loss, apologies, by 1 pip. And it's the market's fault, or it's the person who taught me's fault, or it's the broker's fault, or it's someone else's fault always. And I know you know how I'm feeling. I know you know exactly what I'm talking about, because I guarantee you've done the same thing, and I bet you still do, especially if you're unprofitable. And in reality, in life and in trading, the moment you start to take personal responsibility for everything, and I mean absolutely everything, that is the moment you're going to start to open doors that you never thought you could before. Because even if it's not your fault, even if something has happened to you, taking personal accountability allows you to actually hold that and hold some responsibility. And when you have responsibility, you have the opportunity to change it or fix it. Now, I'll give you an example. Like I just said, I was overweight in the beginning of my life, and a lot of people would say, oh, it was my parents that fed me too much, or it's genetics, or it's the food they're feeding us now. And I was the same, you know, I was at uni drinking, doing all of these things that you shouldn't be doing, and I was overweight. And then the first thing that I actually took personal accountability on was eating well and going to the gym. And within a matter of one summer over university holidays, I came back and I was literally in ridiculous shape after being overweight. Now, I wasn't anywhere like I am now. I wasn't, you know, a dream body. I hadn't achieved that physique. I wasn't Alex Eubank or Chris Bumstead or anyone like that, like far from it. But I was skinnier. I started to get arm veins. I started to get leaner, and immediately I saw a change in my life. I saw how girls would talk to me. I saw how my boys would look at me. I saw how every single person would interact with me, and obviously that led to a level of confidence that I'd never seen before. And I realized very quickly that that's what I needed to do, but it's hard to implement. Now, bringing that over to trading, it's so easy to blame anything else in trading. It's so easy because the market is this mysterious thing that no one really knows what it is. And it's easy to go, oh, the market maker fucked me, or the institutions fucked me over, or Donald Trump tweeted something out, or the broker's trying to slip me or execute me badly. You know, all of these excuses that you can make because no one's ever going to fact check it. No one's ever going to go to your broker and go, oh, did you slip this guy into his entry? Or did you give him, you know, some latency when he entered the trade to give him a worse entry? No one's ever going to do that. No one's ever going to ask the market whether it did it to take your stops or whether it was just the normal movement of the market. So it's so easy for you to go ahead and say all of these things were at fault when in reality, it was you. And what that does for your trading is very simply, it just puts you in a unresponsible position, and it allows you to have a mental escape from what you're doing wrong. Because at the end of the day, it is you that's done something wrong. Okay, if you got your TP, so if you got your stop loss taken out by 1 pip and then it moves in your direction, you had your TP in the wrong position. If you entered and then the market shifted against you, you had your entry in an incorrect way. You didn't take the perfect entry. There was something you missed, okay? And until you realize that all of that is your fault, you will never become profitable, because if you are not taking responsibility for these things, you cannot fix them because it's someone else's fault. And you can't fix what your neighbor does. I can't fix what your boss would do. I can't fix what the waiter at my restaurant would do. I can't fix any of that because it's someone else, but I can fix the way I talk to those people. Maybe the way I smile at them when I walk in the room, or maybe the way I'm dressed so that they think I'm, more affluent than I am, or more, responsible. So these things that you can take inside you will give you power back in the market. Now, how do we do that? Well, the number one way that I want you to do this is I want you to start journaling your trades, and I want you to start journaling both statistically. So I have a free journal. If you want it, it's in the description. But as well as that, I want you to journal physically, pen and paper. I want you to write down exactly what you're feeling when you enter trades. I want you to write down exactly what your criteria for entry were, what the reason behind you entering a trade here were, and then do it. And then understand that once you're doing this over time and journaling, you're going to start to realize that everything in the market is happening for a reason. There's no randomness throughout the market. And I know it's going to be a lot more, oh my God, that is a ginormous hornet. I know that it's going to be a lot harder for you to do this because it's going to give you some mental strain. It is realistically going to, put a strain on your psychology and your mentality, because you don't want to be wrong. And your ego is telling you, I don't want to admit that I made a mistake, that I slipped up. It's way easier to blame someone else. It's way easier to blame our partner for something, or our parents for something, or whoever it is, our siblings. It's way easier because then the responsibility is not on you. Your ego is not hurt. But like I said, nothing changes if you do that, okay? So like I said, we're going to be journaling our trades because that's the most important thing, and that is what is going to give you that self-accountability. As well as that, you need to have a set of rules, okay? But really and truly, forget the trading side. I want you to open up your brain, open up your mind, open up your emotions, and start to really introspectively look within yourself, because all of the traders that I know who are successful, including myself, have gone through, I don't want to call it an ego death, but I do want to call it like an enlightenment, okay? To become profitable in trading, you need an enlightenment. You need to be able to see within yourself and figure out what you're doing wrong, and be open with yourself, removing the ego aside and saying to yourself, oh my God, I'm acting emotionally because of this reason, or I'm over-risking because of this reason. Once you understand that it's okay to be wrong, and it's okay for your ego to actually go ahead and say, I made a mistake, let me go and fix that, that is when progress starts to appear. And it realistically reminds me of the majority of people in this world right now. If you look around, the majority of people in this world, they are overweight, they're poor, they are maybe unhygienic, or they are not taking charge of their lives. And do you know what most people would rather do? Instead of fixing those things, do you know what they'd rather do? Yeah, but my boss made me do this, or yeah, but all the politicians said this, or yeah, it's difficult because there's bad food that we eat every day, or my genetics tell me that I'm overweight. But guess what? The people who are successful in life changed that. I was overweight, look at me now. I was in a situation where I was poor, and I was working a 9 to 5, answering to a boss and having to request holiday days. Think about that. It's become so normalized nowadays to request time off from work, and it could be denied. Denied? The fuck do you mean denied? It's my time, no? It's my time. I want to go and spend time with my family, or my sister's getting married, or whatever it is. It's my time. But you're answering to a boss, and this is what I'm saying. Real people who are successful change that. They don't go, yeah, well, most people have jobs, it's just the way of life, it's not my fault, it's someone else's fault, my parents didn't raise me properly. They don't do that, they fix it, right? So bring this back to trading. Fucking fix it. Simple. Fix it. Because you know you're doing stuff wrong, but your ego is telling you that to make it easier on yourself, I'm just gonna blame something else. And this is gonna be stuff like I said, all of the conditions in the market, everything that's essentially going against you, you can figure out an excuse, right? And to be honest, it's just bullshit. You're lying to yourself, you know you are. You know you are. You know, and this takes me back to thinking about your mentality right now as a trader. So do you even think about what it's like to become a profitable trader? Answer me in the comments or wherever. Do you know what it's like to be profitable? Do you know what you would do when you're profitable? So right now you're sat here being an unprofitable trader and you are aspiring to be a profitable trader and live a life of freedom and be full-time. Do you even know what that takes? Do you even know what you would do at that point? Let's say I just picked you up right now, put you into someone else's body who was making 10K a month trading. What would you do? How would you scale? How would you invest that money? How would you reinvest it into your trading? What would you do with your taxes? Do you know? I guarantee you don't, because you haven't taken the accountability to do that. And if you can't imagine what it would be like to be profitable, then what are you aiming towards? What is your goal right now? You say, yeah, I want to be profitable, I want to be full-time. What does that entail? You don't know, because you haven't thought that far. You haven't taken it upon yourself to go ahead and actually think, holy shit, I need to figure out what I need first and then go ahead and chase it. So you need accountability with your goals as well as what you're doing on the charts. You need to take personal accountability with your habits. To be a trader is not just a job, it's a lifestyle. You have to be eating clean, you have to be putting yourself in the right mindset, because inevitably you come to the charts every day and who's making the decisions? You. You are making the decisions. And your mind here is the athlete. Do you think Cristiano Ronaldo would go into a game before the game and eat bullshit food or go out drinking the night before? Because he knows he wouldn't perform properly, both mentally and physically. And it's the same as a trader. You expect to be overweight or expect to be eating shit food, rolling out of bed just before market open, jumping on, and then, oh shit, I've taken a bad entry, or I can't focus properly, or I can't stick to my rules, I can't stay disciplined. Well, if you can't stay disciplined in the rest of your life, then how the fuck do you expect to do it in your trading? Because we all know trading is one of the most competitive industries in the world. Forget in the finance space or in business, it's one of the most competitive things in the world. And you think you can just half-ass it and walk into your setup and just, oh yeah, I'll just take a trade because I think it's gonna go up. You're an idiot, okay? And I'm sorry to be so harsh, but you don't understand what it takes. You need that self-accountability. You need to go into this thinking of yourself as an athlete, thinking of yourself as a CEO that needs to be mentally primed before entering into this situation. And until you can do that and take accountability for the rest of your life, your trading will suffer. And this takes me back, because the reason I made this video and the reason I actually had this thought right now whilst I'm on this walk is because one of my students the other day spoke to me and said they logged onto MetaTrader and they were a little bit late to the trade, and they pressed enter and they realized that the MetaTrader had reset the lot size to what they were trading before. So instead of trading whatever it was, a 0.5, it was a 5 lot. And they lost a shitload of money from it. And they were like, oh, well, yeah, it's MetaTrader's fault because it reset. It should have just had the last entry size that I had, but it had something from ages ago or what I first used. Well, yeah, but did you check the entry before? Did you check your lot size? No, you didn't, right? And this comes back to that personal accountability. You need to be on the top of your game. You need to be checking if your entry is printing correctly. You need to be checking if your risk is appropriate. You need to be checking your order size, whether your broker's properly connected. All of these things you have to be checking, you have to be alert. But if you have that mentality to blame the broker or blame MetaTrader, I'm very sorry, but you need to fix that, otherwise you are not going to make it as a trader. It's just simple, you're not. And this is one of those things where the moment you start to do this, you're going to see a direct change in your trading. The moment you start to do this, you are going to see a change in not only your trading, but your life. You're going to see massive improvements, and you're going to be able to reach a height where you never thought you could reach before, because new doors are going to start to open, and you're taking personal accountability for absolutely everything, and that means you can fix almost everything. Now, obviously, there's going to be some unfixable things that come into your life, and that is just life, but you can also make the best out of that moment, okay? So personal accountability would always be, what is the best move on the chessboard right now that I can make? If you blow your account completely back to zero, what's the best move on the chessboard? Well, maybe it's going back and getting a job, or maybe it's saving up, or maybe it's taking some time away from the charts, because sometimes that's also the best move too. And you need to just think in every single situation, what can I take responsibility for right now? If you lost a trade, what can you take responsibility for? Well, maybe you need to realize what you did wrong in that trade. And after you've done that, you understand that the trade's gone. And now you need to think, well, what can I actually go ahead and do from this point onwards in order to make that not happen again? So even if there was a fuck up on the broker side or the platform side, let's say the platform did change your order size, or maybe your broker disconnected during the trade or whatever it was, figure out a way that that never happens again. I'll give you an example of this within my trading. I've made a video about this. In fact, one of the last raw sit-down videos like this I made was exactly on this trade exactly, but I left an order open on my Apex accounts. I had $600,000 in funding. Well, I still do, but I was close to a payout on it. And what ended up happening was I left an order open on Tradeovate, walked away from the charts, went to bed, came back the next morning and I was down 10K across all the accounts. And at first I was like, fuck's sake, this is Tradeovate's fault, it's the platform's fault for doing this. The prop firm's shit, it's bullshit, they leave the orders open past market close to do exactly this. And then I realized, hang on, but you lapsed in concentration. Me specifically, I lapsed in concentration. I walked away from the chart leaving an order open. I didn't check that my orders were closed before. So I realized immediately that that was my fault. And then what did I do after it to take it personal accountability? Well, what I actually did was I changed platform. I went over to NinjaTrader where you can't leave orders open, and I started using a copy trader again where I wasn't leaving orders open, and I was using TradingView. And essentially on TradingView, once your TP or stop loss gets hit, it doesn't leave the other one open. It's an other cancels other order, right? And that's what I did. And from that point onwards, now it's never happened again because it can't possibly happen again. So immediately there you can see how I've taken accountability and how I've actually gone ahead and fixed a problem that necessarily wasn't really my fault. But I took responsibility for it. And if I didn't take responsibility for it, I would have gone ahead and actually not fixed anything. I would have blamed the broker. I probably would have been on tilt. The next trade would have cooked me anyway. And I would have gone ahead and actually not changed anything, and the same thing might have happened again and I would have lost the funding. So you can see here directly how taking personal accountability in your trading is going to fix everything. And I'm going to leave you towards the end of this video with one more thing, and that is, like I said, trading is not your entire life. You need to fix your entire life before you become profitable in trading, before you start to achieve everything. And I truly, I want you guys to not only be profitable traders, but I want you guys to change your life. I've seen it within myself, and this is not to be cocky, but I changed my life completely. Like I said, I was a fat, overweight, insecure kid, okay? And I changed everything. I changed absolutely everything, from the way that I look, the way that I speak, the way that I dress, the way that I approach people, everything, as well as my trading. And look where it got me. Now I live in my dream home, in my dream country. I get to go for walks in places like this. I have my dream car. I've bought 2 of my dream cars, all from the fact that I just started taking accountability, and that changed everything in my life. Literally everything. So this video goes beyond trading. It goes beyond becoming profitable or passing a prop firm. It goes beyond that. It goes to you guys changing your fucking lives, because most of you guys who watch this are men. So I'm going to talk to the men right now. And the women this applies to too, but you are young men or women, and you are an autonomous person. You have free will. You can do whatever you want. And you can build whatever you want. You can become anything you want. And you only get one life, okay? God put us on this earth to achieve greatness, to achieve true freedom and just genuine greatness. And you're gonna go ahead and spoil that and spit in his face and waste it by being mediocre. You should be trying to become the best at absolutely everything you can do. You should level up every single stat on the game. A load of you guys are gonna get max prestige on Call of Duty or top ranks on a video game, but you won't level up your in real life stats. You won't become the best shape you possibly can. You won't make your bank balance as high as it possibly can. You won't get the best girl you can and make sure you treat her well. You won't make your family proud. You won't give them money. You won't retire them because you're so busy playing these games, or you're so poor at taking personal accountability. When you're playing a character on the games, you can do it fine, but in real life, you won't take accountability for what you know you need to do. And that is such a shame, and it makes me sad every single day thinking about the wasted potential. And I'm sure God looks down on you exactly the same. He has a plan for you. He has a list of what you could have achieved throughout your life, and you're going to get up to those gates and he's going to ask you why you didn't do it, and you're going to say because you were lazy or because you couldn't take accountability. Come on, man. Seriously, you're better than this. And look, this video, I just wanted to reach out, and I hope this hits some of you hard and it's going to give you a reality check, and I really hope it does, because if it does that, then I've done my job. Okay? I really want you guys to achieve greatness. I want you guys to be here with me. I've literally made it my mission to bring as many people up here as possible. There are people right now making serious money because I've given them the opportunity to do so, and I've helped them to do so, and I've helped them to realize their own potential. Now, I'm not taking credit for them. I'm just telling you what you can give them as an example, what I can give you as an example. You still have to go put in the work. They still put in the work themselves. So it's not specifically me, but I'm telling you, take me as an example, because I wasn't born into this shit. No way. I was absolutely not, but I did achieve it. And that is the most important thing. And look, I love you guys very truly. Every single one of you. TRLS members, we are killing it at the minute. Honestly, the support has been insane, and genuinely, your guys' trading has been ridiculous recently. In the Discord, I see people hitting bangers. I see people taking that responsibility. In my private Discord with my one-on-one members, every single day we have a check-in, and I see them all saying, I did this wrong, but I'm going to fix this. I ask them what they did wrong and how they can take accountability, and they always do. Okay, and I love to see that. I love seeing people elevate and seeing you guys change, because you are changing. You're improving. You're becoming people of actual stature and high-skilled individuals, and I fucking love it. So keep pushing. I love every single one of you very, very much. Jesus loves you too. Drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in the next one.